Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Cincinnati. Our urban community welcomes all with love, supports learning and spiritual growth, serves our wider community, and works for justice, equity, and inclusion. If you'd like to learn more about our community or any of our programs, please contact us at member-care@firstuu.com. Blessed is the sky, and all that is warm and filled with light. Blessed is the air, and all that is open and free. Blessed is the earth, and all that is steady and firm. Blessed is the sea, and all that is hidden and deep.
This is Lynn. The title of the book that I'm reading today is Extra Yarn by Mac Barnett, illustrated by John Klassen. My daughter Emily gave me this book for Christmas because she knows I like to knit. She also knows I always have lots of extra yarn. On a cold afternoon in a cold little town, where everywhere you looked was either the white of snow or the black of soot from chimneys, Annabelle found a box filled with yarn of every color. So she went home and knit herself a sweater. And when Annabelle was done, she had some extra yarn. So she knit a sweater for Mars, too, but there was still extra yarn. And when Annabelle and Mars went for a walk, Nate pointed and laughed and said, "You two look ridiculous." "You're just jealous," said Annabelle. "No, I'm not," said Nate. But it turned out he was. And even after she'd made a sweater for Nate and his dog, and for herself and for Mars, she still had extra yarn. At school, Annabelle's classmates could not stop talking about her sweater. "Quiet!" shouted Mr. Norman. "Quiet, everyone. Annabelle, that sweater of yours is a terrible distraction. I cannot teach with everyone turning around to look at you." "Then I'll knit one for everyone," Annabelle said, "so they won't have to turn around." "Impossible," said Mr. Norman. "You can't." But it turned out she could, and she did, even for Mr. Norman. And when she was done, Annabelle still had extra yarn. So she knit sweaters for her mom and dad, and for Mr. Pendleton and Mrs. Pendleton, and for Dr. Palmer, and for little Louis. She made sweaters for everyone, except Mr. Crabtree, who never wore sweaters or even long pants, and who would stand in his shorts with the snow up to his knees. "No sweater for me, thanks," said Mr. Crabtree. So she made Mr. Crabtree a hat, and even then Annabelle still had extra yarn. She made sweaters for all the dogs and all the cats and for other animals too. Soon, people thought, soon Annabelle will run out of yarn. But it turned out she didn't. So Annabelle made sweaters for things that didn't even wear sweaters. Things began to change in that little town. News spread of this remarkable girl who never ran out of yarn, and people came to visit from around the world to see all the sweaters and to shake Annabelle's hand. One day, an archduke, who was very fond of clothes, sailed across the sea and demanded to see Annabelle. "Little girl," said the archduke, "I would like to buy that miraculous box of yarn, and I'm willing to offer you $1,000,000. "No, thank you," said Annabelle, who was knitting a sweater for a pickup truck. The archduke's mustache twitched. "2,000,000, he said. Annabelle shook her head. "No, thanks." "10,000,000, shouted the archduke. "Take it or leave it." "Leave it," said Annabelle. "I won't sell the yarn." And she didn't. So that night the archduke hired 3 robbers to break into Annabelle's house, and they stole the box and took it to the archduke, who set off across the snow and sailed over the sea back to his castle. The archduke put on his favorite song and sat in his best chair. Then he took out the box and he lifted its lid and he looked inside. His mustache quivered, it shivered, it trembled. The archduke hurled the box out the window and shouted, "Little girl, I curse you with my family's curse. You will never be happy again." But it turned out she was. Today's wonder question is, what things do you know how to do? Or what special talent do you have that you could share to make other people happy?
Let us enter into a time of meditation, contemplation, and prayer. Feel the earth beneath your feet as it supports you. Feel the love of this community as it surrounds and enfolds you. Feel your breath as it flows in and out of your body. Listen to your heartbeat. Listen to your heart. Take another breath and hold it. The air you hold in your body is the most precious thing in the world, for your very life depends on it. And yet none of us can hold on to it for more than a moment, or else we would strangle and die. What is most precious to us must be released, so that we may live and live fully. Look into your heart, find what is there and hold it. The love you hold within your heart is the most precious thing in the world. And yet no one can hold on to it more than your heart can withhold its blood, or else we would die from loneliness and misery. What is most precious to us must be shared so that we may love and love fully. Look into your life, at those things that are most precious to you. Look again, you will find that their value lies not in being held, but in being shared. Life, love, laughter, longing, may we share these precious gifts, that they may return to us, multiplied beyond measure.
So my name is Joelle Newman, and I am the facilitator for our Agents of Change program. Agents of Change is our year-round program for our youth ages 11 to 15 that focuses on self-expression and social change. We see Agents of Change as important, really creating a safe space for kids to discover their voice and to use their voice about the things that matter to them. We try to do that democratically by ensuring that every voice in our space is heard and that the kids feel like their voice matters and that their presence matters. And then we also are just really intentional about creating a community where there's understanding, where there is expression, and there is opportunity for growth. Agents is really a unique space, and sometimes it's difficult to explain because of its versatility. We do anything from mock impeachment trials, we participate in climate change strikes, we are in the process of doing a creative collective game. So kind of wherever there's energy and interest, we really try to prioritize doing activities or talking about those topics. Yeah, in Agents we talk about sometimes really hard things, but also just real life things. So we talk about things like racism, housing insecurity, sexism, homophobia, xenophobia. We also talk about things like cancel culture and social media, things that just really kind of impact the kids right now where they are. So we really prioritize creating activities that address real world things, nuanced things that are sometimes difficult to understand, but in a way that is on their level, in a way that they can understand.
Hi, I'm Jordan.
Hi, I'm JT.
And we're... What are we going to say? We are... Hi, I'm Jordan.
Hi, I'm JT.
And we're Agents Alumni. Agents is very much like an educational place, but it's fun education, and we do take breaks, we have fun, we play card games and board games, but it's also, a place where we learn. Okay, so an Agent of Change is kind of our name for activist. Agents, it was like the thing that went past our history books. Like, we'd learn about one thing and be an agent would go like, well, here's the actual story that they keep, out of schools, and here's all the activists that have gotten us where we are.
For a lot of youth, especially for me, when I first joined Agents, I just went to school. I did the school thing, and then I went home and did the homework thing, and then I went to sleep, and then repeat. Agents was the first time I really joined a youth group. The first youth group being something about social activism was really new thing for me. I remember the first day of Agents, we were making I think posters for Keep Our Courts. And I was like, this is a lot. I was like, I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep going at this, but I did. And it's been really great in forming who I am as a character. I don't think I'd be as much of a social activist as I am if it wasn't for Agents.
Well, one of the big projects we did was making the Agents Manifesto, which essentially says our ideals and what we consider to be a part of this group and what our group believes in and stuff.
So you can kind of see in the background a bit, and the background behind us is the purple mural. It kind of is just like a snapshot of who we were as agents, and at the edges are two people holding up a banner that says the first step out of oppression is expression, which is a really, really powerful quote that kind of emphasizes Peaslee as a whole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that quote came from when the Peaslee building was being fought for. It used to be school, and the moms came together to try and save it and stop the school from being shut down. And that was one of the lines that they said. And if you look closer at our silhouettes, you see old photos of different people who have been in Peaslee's history, fighting for the building, and people who've worked out of it, being a part of this community center. So it was a really great way to tie the old with the new in our mind, which was kind of the really big emphasis of this project, was to see the future generations being impacted by the past.
We are the Agents of Change
at Peaslee Neighborhood Center
and Over-The-Rhine in Cincinnati, Ohio.
This summer, we talked a lot about the places we all share
and how public land is becoming private
as the neighborhood get more expensive.
Right now, we are fighting to keep our public basketball courts,
which might get destroyed so they can build more expensive homes
that most people can't afford.
We don't want to live in a world where money is everything.
We think everyone deserves a place to play and the right to feel welcome.
We made this animation video
using paper cutouts of ourselves.
and scenes that represent real places in the neighborhood.
To remind you that each of us can put positive energy into our community.
That we are all agents of change.
And that together we are strong.
Each month, we designate our Sunday plate collections to benefit a special cause or local social service organization. This month, our beneficiary is the Peaslee Neighborhood Center. As you've just heard, the Peaslee Neighborhood Center is a peaceful place in Over-the-Rhine where residents create and engage in participatory education to foster creative expression, self-determination, and social change. Founded 36 years ago, Peaslee offers various enrichment programs to people of all ages, including piano lessons, creative writing, summer camps, service learning, extracurricular engagement for teens, and social justice events. Additionally, Peaslee's education on community history and the injustices of gentrification has expanded to include a greater focus on advocating for equitable development policy and organizing across neighborhoods. Our collection will support Peaslee in this community work, most specifically through the Agents of Change program and a special project within it. Agents of Change is a year-round program for young people aged 11 through 15 who engage with a social justice curriculum while exploring creative ways to impact social change. Over the years, these agents have developed a cooperative card game called The Movement, which introduces players to change makers throughout U.S. history who are rarely found in textbooks, all while teaching key lessons about the work of social movements. Thanks to past support, including from First Unitarian, Peaslee developed a more professional prototype of the game for testing and is planning for final design and production. The game will be used in Peaslee's ongoing education work and will be made more widely available to organizations and individuals. Your donation today will help support the work of the Peaslee Neighborhood Center. You can give by text, by texting the word GIVE to 513-717-7373. If you have access to our Breeze member system, you can click Give Now. Anyone can contribute online at www.firstuu.com. Or you may mail a check to 536 Linton Street, Cincinnati, Ohio 45219. Just be sure to write Peaslee on the memo line. Our offering will now be gratefully received. Thank you.
You better leave. On this voyage of the soul, may we be bridge builders, our common ground visible beneath the surface differences. May we braid the threads of reconciliation into a chain of possibility that joins, heals, and includes what once seemed separate. May our shared prayer be answered, to grow so open that there is no them or us, only the one moving always into love.